So it's midnight, Friday night. We're the only ones left here in the building. Everyone else is pretty much gone. I've been here since 9 o'clock this morning. We've been working these kind of hours since April, and we have at least another 6 or 7 weeks to go of it. It's crazy. I mean, we have a lot of crazy stuff to do, but I think, we'll be able to pull it all together and get the game out the door in the end.
RTS 3 was Ensemble Studios' self-described biggest undertaking yet. When interviewed about it, Tony Goodman wouldn't give any details about what the theme was for the game, just that fans of the RTS, fantasy, history, and age of genre would be very happy. Taking 3 years to complete the original game, RTS 3 had the longest development time of any game prior, and it ended up being the biggest and hardest project they'd ever taken on thus far. At E3 2001, the demo for what we now know as Age of Mythology was shown in action. Although Ensemble had considered sci-fi, fantasy, and many other themes, they decided on mythology, as it would give them a loose historical framework, something they were familiar working with, but still give them a lot of liberty with the units, gameplay, and story, as the team wanted to take a stab at something new rather than just create Age of Empires 3. Unlike their previous games, Ensemble wrote an original story that merged various mythologies together, something they had never done before. Greg Street and Ian Fisher said, "If you're planning on doing this sort of project and haven't done it before, double your estimates for everything related to the project, then halve your plans for the content." This is something they learned all too well, as the script had a ton of unexpected revisions through development. Ensemble also implemented mandatory playtesting by all staff members. Each staff member was required to block off time to playtest it once a week, but many staff members would play it more than that for reasons beyond bug testing. Despite all of this, they managed to stay engaged with the community, releasing screenshots and dev announcements on their website. I personally remember going on the Heaven Games website to keep up to date myself. Ensemble even hosted beta tests on that site, as well as other fan sites dedicated to the RTS genre. So, a quick side note. I may be a little biased with this portion of my series because, honestly, Age of Mythology is one of my favorite video games of all time. I used to spend hours lurking forums, hanging out in online lobbies, playing maps like Doomlord from Rainfire, and spending countless hours realizing my dreams of creating games and content. This game is incredibly near and dear to my heart, and I even went through and beat the original campaign on the hardest difficulty before making this video, something I could have never done in my younger years. In fact, when I was a kid and my dad was out of work recovering from cancer, we'd both load up the original campaign on Titan difficulty and try to come up with strategies to beat the AI. I eventually gave up, but I remember my dad calling me into the room every time he beat another level. Meanwhile, I'd be on the map editor and would even used to spend countless hours reading through the in-game encyclopedia, which, funny enough, kind of reminds me of playing Morrowind. Anyway, I just wanted to take a moment and say how important and influential this game was to me as a kid. I adore Age of Mythology, and I'm so thankful Ensemble created it. Back to the video. As Age of Mythology was Ensemble's most ambitious project yet, they were required yet again to hire on more staff and bring on more new changes in design at their studio. However, as a result of the studio growing so much in that time, it became harder and harder to have everyone chime in on features, ideas, etc., and Ensemble started making more specific, smaller scope meetings with just the department heads and designers to figure out things in a timely fashion. When Ensemble Studios staff members discussed this in their post-mortem with Gamasutra, they said, "Games today are too complex to be fully defined by a vision statement," something they found out pretty fast during the development and design process of this game. However, with that said, the team was stronger than ever and was ready to innovate and go far above and beyond for this game. Age of Mythology ended up having over 1 million lines of code. I mean, from the gameplay to the music, Ensemble really went all out. For the music, Age of Mythology had a live orchestra that performed pieces written and conducted by Stephen Rippey and Kevin McMullen that was met with great reception. Just listen to this. The music is incredible, and the sound design of this game is just iconic. I can hear any sound and probably tell you what building or unit that it's from. In fact, I remember just about every building soundbite in that game. A new 3D engine called Bang was developed to render the new 3D models created with the intention to not lag while displaying big battles with large amounts of units. Something fans were really worried about with the transition from 2D to 3D, especially when a decent gaming rig at the time was a Pentium 4 Athlon and maybe 2 GB of RAM. But once again, after 3 years, their hard work paid off. Age of Mythology was officially released and ended up selling 1 million units in the first 5 months. I didn't see this game in cereal boxes, but I did see it everywhere else, from computer stores to book fairs. It was also nominated for the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Interactive Achievement Award for Computer Game of the Year and Strategy Game of the Year. What a sentence. Once again, Ensemble knocked it out of the park. A fun piece of history, around this time, Rick Goodman, the lead designer of Age of Empires and Tony Goodman's brother, along with his company Stainless Steel Studios, released the game Empire Earth, an Age of styled RTS that took the player through all epochs of time, from the dawn of man fighting with clubs and rocks to total sci-fi future with space battles, and was some real competition for Age of Mythology at the time. After Age of Mythology's release, the staff took another long-deserved break and then soon began work on the well-received expansion for Age of Mythology, The Titans. And after that expansion, the final Age of Empires game from the Ensemble team was in development, Age of Empires 3.